At my sister's engagement, I arrived to find every chair taken, except the one beside the trash bin. Mom smiled mockingly. Sit there. Be grateful you were even invited. My brother snickered. Try not to make a mess this time. I stayed silent until the waiter brought me the $3,600 bill. I stood up, looked around the table, and said calmly, Relax, you're not on my tab. Sit there, Mom said, pointing toward the only empty chair, the one beside the trash bin. Her tone wasn't sharp, just disguised sweetness, the kind that made humiliation sound like courtesy. The engagement dinner was for my sister, Emily. The house was glowing with lights and laughter, the kind that had no space for me. My brother Mark leaned back in his chair and grinned. Don't spill anything this time, bro. We remember what happened at Dad's birthday. Everyone laughed, except me. I looked at the trash bin beside me, then at the table full of champagne glasses and fake smiles. I'd learned long ago that silence could sting louder than words, so I stayed quiet. Until the waiter came. He placed a folded paper in front of me. The bill. $3,600. I scanned it once, then slowly stood up. Relax, I said calmly. You're not on my tab. The laughter stopped. Glasses froze mid-air. That's how the fire started, not with a shout, but with silence that finally turned around and stared back. Who I am. My name's Adam Rayner, 27, born into a family that never really saw me. The quiet kid who worked through college, paid off his own debts, and still got blamed for being ungrateful. They used to call me the helper. I fixed their cars, handled their bills, co-signed Mark's credit mess, and sent Emily half my paycheck when she needed support. Mom used to tell her friends, Adam's good with money. She never said, he's the only reason we're still afloat. I learned to stop correcting her, because in our house, being useful was the only way to be loved. But lately, I'd started collecting my silence like receipts. Every insult, every ignored call, every, you're lucky to be invited. I wasn't just quiet anymore. I was keeping score. And that night, when the bill landed in front of me, something in me whispered, it's time. The family on display. At the table, we looked like a perfect family, the kind people envy from across the street. Dad sat at the head, straight-backed and proud, wearing that expression that said he ran everything, even emotions. Mom had her pearls on, the ones I bought her after her surgery. She smiled too easily, the kind that hides judgment behind politeness. Mark, 30, always loud, always bragging. He still lived at home, somehow broke, yet always investing. And Emily, the bride-to-be, glowing in her new designer dress, showing off a ring I knew she didn't buy herself. You really should smile more, Adam, she said without looking at me. You always make pictures awkward. Dad chuckled. That's because he's always thinking too much. It's not a boardroom, son. Relax. If they only knew what I was thinking. Because while they argued about centerpieces and catering, I was thinking about who paid for all this, whose credit card ran quietly behind their perfect little life. Mine. Halfway through dinner, Dad tapped his glass. Before we toast, he said, I want to thank Emily's fiancé and remind everyone that family means sharing responsibilities. His eyes shifted to me, especially financial ones. Mom smiled politely, like this was rehearsed. Adam, you don't mind helping with the engagement cost, right? You've always been our rock. I laughed quietly. You mean the one you keep stepping on? Her face stiffened. Excuse me? I leaned back. It's funny, Mom. You ask for help like it's tradition. Maybe next time send an invoice instead of guilt. Mark muttered, You're still bitter about the house thing? The house thing. That's what they called it when Dad remortgaged my name onto the house, then took me off the papers once the loan cleared. You used my credit, I said, voice low. Then told everyone it was your hard work. Dad slammed his glass down. Don't bring that up here. But it was too late. The cracks had started showing. Mark stood up, puffed his chest like always. You've been acting like we owe you something. You're not the only one who works, man. I stared at him. You live off Mom's account. Emily rolled her eyes. God, here we go again. You always make yourself the victim. Maybe if you weren't so cold all the time. Cold? I said quietly. Or just done being useful? The air changed. You could feel it. The shift when everyone realizes the quiet one finally found his voice. Mom whispered, Adam, lower your tone. You're embarrassing us. I smiled faintly. You've been doing that for years, Mom. I'm just catching up. No one laughed this time. 3 years ago, when Dad lost his job, I covered the mortgage for 6 months. I didn't complain, didn't tell anyone. I even skipped meals to make sure the payments went through. Then, when I got laid off, I remember asking Dad for a little help until my next paycheck. He didn't even look up from his newspaper. You should have planned better, Adam. Mom added, You're too independent for your own good. We thought you'd be fine. I wasn't fine, but they didn't notice. That's the night I realized. I was part of their convenience, not their concern. And that wound never healed. It just learned how to hide behind calm smiles. The waiter came again, holding another envelope. Sir, this is the confirmation for the catering payment you authorized last week. Dad frowned. What payment? I took the envelope, opened it, and read it out loud. $9,200, paid in full. Charged to Adam Rayner. Mom froze. Adam, what? You said you wouldn't? I interrupted. That's right, I wouldn't. But someone did. I turned the envelope around. Signed by Mark, using my saved card. Mark's face went pale. It's just temporary. I was gonna pay you back. Like the car loan? I said softly. Or the medical bills? Or the family emergencies that only happen when it's about you? The room went silent. I looked at Dad. You taught him well. Voices rose. Emily shouted. Mom started crying. Dad tried to take control. Mark kept defending himself. It was just one time. I didn't say a word. I simply took my phone, opened the banking app, and held it up. This, I said, was my last transaction under this family's name. Then I tapped once. Every shared account, every card, every automatic payment. Disabled. The air went still. Dad's voice cracked first. What did you do? I stopped paying for a family that never saw me, I said. You can toast to that. I walked out before anyone could follow. The cold air outside hit my face like clarity. The house behind me looked beautiful. But it wasn't mine anymore. Mark ran after me, breathless. You can't just walk away. We're family. I turned, my voice steady. No, Mark. Family doesn't drain you and call it love. He looked lost. For the first time, maybe he realized how fragile they all were without me holding everything together. I started my car, the same one I bought secondhand, and fixed myself. As I pulled away, I felt no anger, just freedom. Cold, steady, earned freedom.
Weeks passed. They called, texted, begged for help when bills came due. I didn't reply. Then one day, Mom showed up at my apartment. Her eyes were tired, softer. She handed me a small box. Inside was my old wristwatch, the one Dad pawned years ago. He told me to give this back, she whispered. We shouldn't have treated you like that. I didn't speak. I just nodded.
As she left, she turned once more. You were the only one who ever really cared for us, Adam. I hope you find people who do the same for you. That night, I sat alone, listening to the quiet. And for the first time, the silence didn't hurt. It felt clean, because I didn't carry their weight anymore. If you were sitting in that chair by the trash bin, would you forgive them, or would you finally walk away like I did? Sometimes silence is the last kind of love you give before you stop giving at all. If this story hit something in you, like comment or share your thoughts below. Tell me, what does family mean when love feels like debt? Because maybe, just maybe, we all have our own seat by the trash bin. and someday we'll choose to stand up.